Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. We are back with the next installment, the next edition of fantasy content this week. Looking ahead to match week 4, I'm very excited to be doing this, and joined by a new guest co-host. Say new, obviously. We're all very familiar with your Altan, but yeah, welcome back to the show. Very happy to have you on for the first time this season.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. As always, on the fantasy show, I'm kind of filling in for Rune here, so I'm trying to do my best impersonation act. I won't try the Danish accent, but I'll stick to the Irish accent for the time being.
Irish accent's just fine, mate. Thank you for stepping in and helping out. Absolute top man. Whilst Rune is obviously at the game, which is currently playing as we're recording live. And I believe Copenhagen have just retaken the lead against Leverkusen after Grimaldo had equalised. So not so great for us Bundesliga followers. Although I think, Rune might be celebrating his national colleagues along the way. Exactly same format. Altan has been very kind to do his picks for this week. Before we just run into things, we will go. Oh, I think we've just seen. Thank you for the comment, Sard, because he's just said it's 2-2. Wow, what an end to the game that is. Sweet madness. If you can make sure you leave a thumbs up on this show. That'd be absolutely awesome. For the first show that Altan's appeared on this season. Comment along, questions, thoughts and theories. Get all involved. Really love the engagement that we have, of course, particularly with the fantasy show every Thursday, and obviously sub to the channel. We're on our way to 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. It'd be really appreciated if you can. I think we're about 20 odd away. So if you've not subscribed, do it. Push us up to that magic number, and hopefully we can keep on going upwards in that direction. Make sure you're following our great partners, of course, Bulinews, for all the best. Bundesliga articles in English. Right, so we will crack on. Obviously, always plenty to get stuck into on fantasy evenings and Thursday evenings, because we've got a prediction show to follow with Martin Camp. So absolutely awesome night lined up. So we'll get Altan your defender picks. So this is budget, mid-price and premium, and we'll take questions afterwards, as we always do. So Altan, over to you to kind of explain your way through your picks for this week.
Yeah, so I'll just preface my points with saying that I've confirmed and checked with Rune as well to make sure that he would kind of go similar or along the same lines as what I've picked. So everyone can rest assured, even though I think I did pretty well last year in the Bulinews, I can say that Rune's confirmed their quality, quality approved. I tried to also pick players that didn't feature too much in his wildcard team, just for the purpose of a lot of people might be following that or have a chunk of players that are very well known, like your Gerassis and so forth. Without further ado, I'm starting with a player that was in his draft selection in Koto, but I find it hard not to pick him as a BVB fan myself. He's been in great form. It's caught everyone by surprise, I think, across Germany, and he's been fantastic so far this year. And for that price, you can't really go wrong. And I was kind of shocked by his ownership as well. 5% is very low, which caught me off guard. And he got another goal against Juventus last night, which never goes amiss, does it? After his assist against Union Berlin. I would expect Dortmund to keep it up. I don't want to curse myself here, but I would hope that they'd get one over on Wolfsburg again on the weekend, and he'd be central to a lot of their attack and play. Moving on to the middle pick, it might seem a bit strange going for a high SVO player. given their lack of goal-scoring threat over the last while. But Muheim, thankfully, picks up a lot of points from duels. I've been an owner of him as well myself in the second match week, I believe it was, and it wasn't his best match week, but he got an awful lot of points despite defeat to St. Pauli. I think he was one of their highest scoring players that night on a 2-0 defeat, which is kind of saying something for itself. And I think Muheim aren't exactly going the best at the moment, so no doubt Highesvale will be eyeing that game up per se and going for a win here, a much needed win at that. And you'd imagine he'd be central to a lot of what they do. And then finally, the last pick really speaks for itself. The premium option, I think this is not just a warning to everyone, but a warning to myself too, as a non-Grimaldo owner for the first 3 weeks. It's time to get him in, folks. He's just on fire at the moment. And even if Leverkusen are struggling, I think he's someone you can't avoid. He's got set-piece duties. He's got all sorts of attacking output and outlets, some responsibility under Hulmand as well. And I'd fully expect him to do very well under Hulmand as well, because I don't know if anyone's watched Denmark over the last while. When he was their manager, the likes of Joachim Mæhle and stuff were very influential from the wing-back position. So I'd expect him to follow suit and be key to everything they do.
Smashing. Thank you for that, Altan. Very good explanation of your picks there. So I just want to pick up some comments that we've got. Good evening to you, Nick. Thanks for tuning in. Saad as well, saying hello. Thanks for the great content as always. Currently sitting at rank 251 in the world early in the season. Very well done, pal. That's really good. Fully prepared to ruin it in the coming weeks. I'm sure you won't. Evening to you, Goal Machine. Great to see you tuning in. That's lovely. See so many familiar faces. And Gavin, lovely to see you, pal. Nice for you to be able to catch us live, which is awesome. Greetings, lovely from Guadalajara. That's awesome. Is Grimaldo a must-have now? And if so, can one afford to have 3 Bayern players? Who would be your third after Kane and Olise? I was thinking about Lima. We'll come to the Bayern part in a sec for you, Gavin. Obviously, Oltan, the first part of Gavin's question is exactly what you've already picked up on Grimaldo. He's obviously just played at least 80 odd minutes in tonight's game. Are we worried about rotation with Grimaldo, or is he just too influential?
No, I think he has to start. I think just with the way things are going at Leverkusen at the moment this season, and even under Hulmand, I think it's no different. I think he has to play at least 80 minutes, and with his responsibility from set pieces, I think he's just so much better than everyone else at the club, in the club, that element alone. So
yeah, completely agree. He's going to be central to Leverkusen picking up. Obviously, the game this evening is finished 2-2. At least they've not been defeated. Obviously, away to Copenhagen, but obviously they have to go again very soon this weekend. Then, yeah, Gavin's mentioned 3 Bayern players. Stands to reason a lot of the time where players are going to have 3 Bayern assets in there. He's mentioned Lima due to affordable pricing. Would you agree with Lima as an option, generally speaking, because he's doing the right back role and barely plays right back? He's so far forward all the time. Is there another maybe Bayern defender, as we're talking about defenders for now, that you could maybe mention for Gavin at all?
So I'll reveal my inexperience here in saying that last year was beautiful because player pricing didn't change. Every player stayed the same. So yeah. I can't tell you what price Lima is off the top of my head. But if I was to give a ballpark figure, I think if he's below or in and around 8 or 9 million or less, I think that could be a very valid reason to go for him. Oftentimes I try and base my picks based on their value and what they equate to points. So if I was to pick a third Bayern player, I've had this discussion with Rune before, like Luis Diaz is on fire for them so far in domestic action. But 22 million is a lot to spend when I have Kane, I have Guirassy, so it's not really an affordable option. If that was the case and Limer's anywhere close to someone like, say, Serge Gnabry, I'd probably be more enticed to look at someone like that. And I would actually throw out a mention to Sacha Boey. I was watching the Bayern game last night and Stanisic picked up a bit of an injury. against Chelsea, and it looked pretty severe. So someone like Boe or possibly even Rafa Guerreiro could maybe sneak in there, but I'd keep a close eye to the lineups.
Perfect. Thank you for that. On to another question from Goal Machine. The only way to get Grimaldo is to sell Guirassy worth this week. That's a tough Sophie's choice you've got there, Goal Machine. Oltan, what do you think of that? Obviously, as a BVB man, that might sting a little in your personal opinion.
I'm going over to the game this weekend, Sunday. So I have Guirassy as well. I certainly won't be selling him. I'll probably be captaining him as well. Look, I would do it at your peril. If you really want Grimaldo and you think he might be the only defender that can score in excess of 350 points, it's a gamble. It could pay off, but I'd struggle to sell Guirassy at this moment in time. I think if you can maybe sell a midfielder of some sort. Midfielders generally, compared to previous years, I think with the exception of Olise, the quality has gone in the Bundesliga in terms of having those star assets in fantasy Bundesliga. So that would be the place I'd look to sell. I, for one, I'm also getting Grimaldo in this weekend, and I'm going to get rid of Amiri, who's been like a consistent 200-pointer every week, but it just has to be done. I feel like it's the sacrifice you have to make, so I totally understand it too, but I'd try to avoid selling Guirassy if possible.
Yeah, no, good reasoning there. Oltan, obviously the fixture for Leverkusen this weekend is pretty presentable. Also, we don't know what Gladbach are going to do reacting off the head coach sacking. It's always that kind of fresh approach that you never know when clubs have made that kind of big decision. So we don't know what we're going to see. But generally speaking, you'd imagine Leverkusen at home to Gladbach will be points. So yeah, stands to reason. If you can do it, Goal Machine, I know it's a tricky one. We will see if you can get them in. Another question from yourself. Any news on Jordan Taurona Riga? Oltan, are you aware of his fitness for Haasval?
As far as I know, I think he's been not ruled out per se, but I think he's a doubt. From the lineups and the lineup sources we have at Bulinews and from League Insider, they're generally the two I would look at. I'm pretty sure he's not included, or else an outside chance. So I think it's kind of touch and go. I would probably try and wait for the highest value press conference, which we'll try and get out on Bulinews. And if it helps at all, I'll try and maybe make a tweet about it of some sort, and see if I can keep an update for you.
Smash in. Yeah. Thank you, Oltan. On that, then Sard has asked a question about Guirassy. We'll do that quickly. We'll do these next two, and then we'll move on to midfielders for everyone else, and then you can all have time to think of some more questions. Is Guirassy not the penalty taker anymore? Because Ben Sebaini took the penalty the other night. So has there been a change there, Oltan?
Yeah, it's not one I agree with personally speaking, but that's actually a very good point Saad makes. Yeah, there was a kerfuffle over the penalty in Turin on Tuesday night, and Ben Sebaini took it, and it's now since been confirmed that Ben Sebaini will be the regular spot taker, provided he's on the pitch. I'm not going to get into that. This isn't the preview of the review show, but taking penalties away from a striker, I don't think is wise. But yeah, it is a valid reason actually to sell Guirassy too. I think when you pay for that price, you'd almost want penalties to be included in a 20 million player in the game. So yeah, sounds like Ben Sebaini could be the man going forward.
Yeah, absolutely right. We shall move on. Just seeing Mark tuning in there as well. Comment from Devin Alexander. I must admit, Devin, I have no idea if you've got the wrong show here, because there's a good few names there that I do not recognise, unless we're talking about Brian McBride of yesteryear, and a lot of players that maybe don't come up. But thank you for watching, and thank you for the comment. I wish I could help.
Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely go for it, Devin. If you have a Bundesliga related question, we'll 100% pick it up and probably have a lot better opinion on it. But yeah, either way around, thank you for the comment and for tuning in, Devin. Right, let's move on and move the dial forward to midfielders, which are now on screen for you all to to have a look at for Oltan's picks. So back over to yourself, Oltan, to work your way through those three choices.
Again, I'll just start off by prefacing the fact that I've got both a Heidenheim player and a HSV player in there, with probably about a combined goal between them in the first three games, which doesn't seem too appealing on paper. But again, the idea is to differentiate from the draft that Rune produced last week. And I went with Arjan Ibrahimovic to start. If he can replicate what his namesake has done before for Sweden and PSG and various other clubs around Europe, we'd be doing pretty well for 3.84 million. So fingers crossed. But from the eye test alone, I can't say I watched too much of Heidenheim this year, with the exception of the Dortmund-Heidenheim game. They were kind of, what would you say, hamstrung by the fact that Budinews got his red card fairly early in the game. But Ibrahimovic was probably the one player that kind of shone in attack, at least. I think shortly after half-time, he had this mazy kind of dribble through the middle of the pitch and had a go from range, and it forced Kobel into a pretty neat save. It's slim pickings at that price point. It's very hard to find someone that isn't like Mert Kummer. Obviously, these are the names I'd prefer to pick, but I think for when it's a week where people might try to look for a real value pick and be able to get in players like Grimaldo, I think Ibrahimovic is a pretty good point at just under 4 million for that reason. And again, HSV haven't really been any big shakes so far. They've looked pretty average and vulnerable in defence, not least exposed by Bayern 5 times. So it doesn't look too great for them. Quickly flipping over to the other side, onto HSV's new man, Fabio Vieira. Again, this is kind of a bit of an eye pick. Good opponents to play against. It should be, I'd imagine, an open game. When it's in the Volkspark Stadion, this thing should be, fired up. They've had a chance before in the derby. They couldn't do it against St. Pauli, so surely this time they have to try and get a win and kind of kickstart their Bundesliga campaign. Vieira looked pretty good against Bayern in flashes. I think he had 2 assists to a shot himself, and he got stuck in duels. And for what it's worth, too, Heidenheim's left fullback, Lea Pacarada, had an unfortunate ACL injury, I believe, which means Jonas Forenbach will start. And he's not the most mobile. He's probably more of a centre half by trade. So I'd hope that Vieira on the right side would be able to expose that a little bit. And then the premium pick, I think it speaks for itself. I'd keep an eye on the lineups tonight. He is starting on the right wing against Galatasaray. But Doan is Doan. He's an absolute star of the FBL world. Certainly last year, I just loved owning him. I have him already in preparation for this game, even though I got him in against Leverkusen, and they really flattered to deceive despite having 2 men advantages for various swathes of the game. He still got about 154 points, I think, which isn't bad going considering they didn't exactly play their best. So against an Union team who'll probably sit back and kind of invite Frankfurt onto them per se, I'd expect him to get lots of chances cutting in from the right onto his left foot and getting shots away.
Smashing. Thank you for those, Oltan. They're great picks. Really like the Vieira one as well. A player that my boys, VfB Stuttgart, were also linked to, but I don't think, by the sounds of it, the money didn't work out. So obviously Hamburg did a very fine job bringing that player in. And you mentioned the injury to Pacarada and the potential of points gathering is a really great pick out there. Lovely stuff. I think we've had another question here from another regular, Kanan 1996. Thank you for your question and for tuning in. Is it right that there will be a rotation in the Bayern Munich lineup for the next game? Oltan, what do we think about Bayern rotations? Obviously away to Hoffenheim, a Hoffenheim team that have showed good quality and stands to reason that it could be a good game. Are we going to see some switch outs? Obviously they're able to rotate, make early subs in the Hamburg game last weekend. Do we anticipate much change for this game coming on? I think it's Saturday, isn't it? Yeah, Saturday's game.
Yeah. No, I don't see a whole pile of change. To touch on your point, where they hooked people off early against Hamburg, I think that's exactly the reason they did it. I'm sure Vincent Kompany is astute enough at this stage to see that Hoffenheim are kind of a bit of a rising dark horse in the league this season, it seems, so far. I've been really impressed with them, especially their attack and play. And I think Bayern won't be messing about here. Hoffenheim, I think, is always somewhat a kind of a tricky place to go, despite the kind of lack of atmosphere, and generally doesn't sell out. But it's always been kind of a stubborn team to play against, and they always seem to have this kind of knack of grinding out results. So if there was any rotation at all, I think it could maybe be Jonathan Tah at a push for like Kim Min-jae. He didn't get on too great against Chelsea the other night. Looked a bit leggy, albeit a totally different opponent. And Kim did pretty well off the bench. I think they're pretty hamstrung in the fullback positions too. I can't really see any crazy alterations going on there. Maybe at a push, Kimmich could swap into right back or something like that and let Goretzka play in the middle, but can't see it happening. I definitely don't see any changes in the forward line. The front four should remain the exact same for the time being. That's just the way it is, I think, the way their kind of personnel situation is.
Yeah, I don't foresee Nicholas Jackson coming in to start just yet. He'll get starts, but also I'm sure Bayern are very well aware of the 40 game starting clause that Chelsea put into the loan deal, which would make it appropriate that Bayern buy the striker on a permanent deal. But that just won't happen, will it? In terms of the way Bayern manage things, and I don't think that they really want him on a permanent deal unless he completely exploded in the league. But yeah, we'll see about that. Comment in from Sard. Kaminski looks good, solid. Looks solid playing 90 minutes in all Köln games as well, don't you think? Player that's just really lit up since obviously getting this move. Been really, really vital to everything that FC have done so far. Don't see any reason why that would probably change. Obviously, Köln are just going week to week, no European football, obviously, from just getting the promotion. Big matchup against RB Leipzig as well. So they'll want their better players on the pitch for as long as possible. Oltan, any thoughts on or disagreements on that?
No, I echo that completely. I got him in match day 3 as well, and he did brilliantly against Wolfsburg. I probably more this year than ever, I've tried to prioritize players who've been in good form, like Amiri and like Kaminski. Kaminski scored in international duty for Poland, which kind of only, bolsters his kind of form at the moment. So I think you're spot on there. And I don't think Leipzig at the moment is a particularly intimidating place to go. They're still kind of finding their feet.
Yeah.
Cologne seem to be fairly fearless at the moment too. In the 3 games they've played, they've shown no signs of showing what maybe a promoted team might be like, or typically like cough cough highest vow so far. But I think Kaminski's a great hold for this week, and I wouldn't go around selling them anytime soon.
Smash in another one in from Kanan. What do you think about Baumgartner? Is he a good option? Since he does many duels each match. Good point made there. Baumgartner, obviously a player, that's been at Leipzig for enough time now. Perhaps really needs to step up. Oltan, with so many new players into that squad, a lot of young players. To be fair, I don't know what Baumgartner's age is off the top of my head, but we need to maybe start seeing a bit more leadership from him, and possibly being crucial to what Leipzig side may do this season. Do you like Baumgartner as an option?
Yeah, funnily enough, he's someone I'm looking at myself. He's deceptively young. I think he's only about 25 or 26. For someone who's been around so long, he seems to inherit that kind of Anthony Martial type, like eternal youth of the Bundesliga. I think he's a good option this week. Transversely, on the point that Leipzig isn't intimidating to go to, I don't expect them to be bad necessarily. They have lots of injuries, which works both ways, in my opinion. Obviously, it weakens them on the pitch, but as you say, Baumgartner kind of needs to step up and kind of show the reason he was brought in from Hoffenheim those couple of years ago. And I think it's really only himself, Romulo, and Bakayoko, who are kind of the 3 main attacking threats left. And as you say, he's playing in midfield. He's winning duels left, right, and centre. So he's someone I'm kind of looking to bring in myself. I totally back it.
Smashing. Thank you for those awesome comments and questions all. So now that I think we fielded them all, we'll move on to our last position of the evening, which of course is the forwards, the money makers, the point grabbers. So again, back over to you, Altan, to run us through your 3 picks this evening.
Yeah, once again, a budget-friendly pick to start. Igor Matanovic. He arrived from to Freiburg from Frankfurt to start the summer, and I actually thought he'd start straight away, but it always seems to be impossible to kind of shove Lucas Höhler out of his starting berth up top, and he never really appeals in the FBL world, unfortunately. So yeah, he's kind of burst on the scene now in the Southwest Derby. I'm sure that'll hurt for poor Rory and his VfB. But look, those things happen. At least you're out of the house, I believe. So you missed the goals gone in, per se. Yeah, a brace on that off the bench. I surely think he has to be good enough to start, and for that price, it's not too bad. Trip to Bremen, both teams will be in on a high, 2 big wins for both of them to kind of kickstart their seasons. I expect goals in this game. I don't see it any other way. I think it could be 2-2 maybe. And I think Matanovic should get a start. You have to play players on form, and for a team like Freiburg who can struggle, you need someone who scored goals and has that kind of bit between his teeth. Going into the mid-priced option, I found this one kind of hard to pick. There was a few options kind of circulating around my head, but I went with Romulo in the end for pretty much the same reasons as Baumgartner. Again, pretty decent price, just over 10 million. It's not too bad. He seems to have been pretty good so far. He showed what he can do against Heidenheim. He's been maybe a bit quiet so far, so it's a bit punty, I will admit. But Cologne seemed to concede goals too, as Wolfsburg showed the last time out. So I think he could be a decent option at that price point. And then moving on to the premium option, although it doesn't really seem too premium for that price, and he did have a bit of a howler tonight. I'm not sure if he's one of the 2 goal scorers, but he missed a pretty point-blank shot, which should have been a tap-in. But Patrick Schick, I do think he'll step up. Leverkusen, it's a derby. Look, they can inflict more pain on one of their arch rivals in Gladbach. And usually when he hits the ball at his feet in the Bundesliga, he's pretty consistent. 21 goals last season speaks for itself. And for that price, you can't really go wrong. I don't think there's any player in the FBL game that comes in at that price for having scored so many goals in the previous season. So I back it. I do think he'll come up with the goods again on the weekend, and Gladbach haven't really started well at all, so they're kind of there for the taking.
Yeah, I completely agree. Paddy Schick could very much fill his boots the way that Gladbach have been defending early doors. Thank you for your picks there. Some nice ones. I enjoyed what I've seen from Romelu as well. So, yeah, it could definitely be a good option. For this match week, Paddy Schick did not score tonight. The second goal for Leverkusen was a known goal, as it happens. But was apparently set up by Echiveri. There, so righty-ho, question time again. One in from Goal Machine. Keep Lemperle or sell. Hoffenheim generally scores somehow versus Bayern. Yeah, they do. They've had a couple of half-decent results against Bayern in the non-too distant past. I know they beat them on the last day of not the season just gone, but the one previous, because it helped Stuttgart come second. I remember that game very well. So, yeah, generally speaking, Hoffenheim find a way to score. It's usually at the back end, keeping them out. That's generally been the problem, but obviously their recruitment seems to have been indefinitely better this season. Yeah, obviously straight to the point, Altan, keep or sell?
I don't mind keeping it. I echo your points, Rory. I don't think Hoffenheim have much to lose in this scenario. They're undefeated, and they're scoring goals for fun, as shown against Leverkusen and Union. For his price, again, it doesn't seem bad, and he took the penalty when Kramaric went off the pitch. Granted, that's not going to be for a whole length of time, but if they, by the off chance, get a penalty in the last 10 minutes, it might be his time to shine. He seems to be really attacking. He seems to be really involved in a lot of the play, both in terms of assists and shots on goal. So I'd nearly argue he's probably a better pick than Matanovic for kind of a similar ballpark figure. But it's entirely up to you. I think for someone that price, you mightn't really do a whole lot better with someone like Matanovic. I think that's a pretty decent keep. But it's entirely up to what suits your team and who you want to try and get in.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that, Oltan, and thank you for the question, Goal Machine. Back to you, Kanan. Thank you for this question. Sell Gnabry for Laveling. Is that a good deal? I already have Kane and Elise. In fairness, Laveling's probably been Stuttgart's best outlet and player so far this season, which doesn't say much because they've fallen flat in the attacking department a great deal. Obviously, if you go for that, you'll be able to hang on a little bit for lineups because Stuttgart Pauli is the Friday night opening game, isn't it? You know, usually on paper, you would probably say that's a quite nice looking tie for Stuttgart versus a promoted team at home. However, not a promoted team, not promoted at all. Pauli, of course, had struggles last season, but they did not get relegated. But they've had an awesome start to the season. Oltan, would you be nervous getting rid of Gnabry for someone like Laveling, who, albeit is maybe a good option for, you know, as a Stuttgart player who should likely play and play a lot of the match, feel a bit risky the way that Stuttgart started the season?
Yeah, I'd tread with caution ever so slightly. Having said that, though, I did have him on my list for our scout squads over on Bulinews. He was kind of one of the names I was looking at, and even for my own team, I probably won't go for him just because I think I like a few other options slightly better. But as you said yourself, Rory, he's probably been Stuttgart's best player, certainly in terms of attack, and it's not a bad option either. Like, I do think it should be an open game. St. Pauli, obviously, they had a high-scoring game against Dortmund with a man advantage towards the end, but there's no reason it couldn't be a shootout. It's just, as you say, Stuttgart haven't exactly been firing on all cylinders. Selling Gnabry, I don't mind selling Gnabry. I think that's okay. He is a good value pick for Bayern if you want to keep Bayern assets at that price. But I think there could be better options than him this week, and I would argue personally better options than Laveling maybe too. But you know, St. Pauli have started brilliantly. They can easily surprise you. So I'd tread with caution.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that, Kanan. Thank you to everyone that's asked questions and got involved tonight. It's been some wicked, very thought-provoking questions. So, yeah, from Kanan, Goal Machine, Sard, and Gavin, of course, checking in earlier, Nick as well for saying hi. Everyone that's been watching and just sitting back and absorbing it. Obviously, you don't have to watch and comment at all. So, yeah, that brings us to a close this evening on... we've had a late one in from Sard. Obviously, we'd like to answer as many questions as we can. Would you go for a third attacker in Ranashirt Königsdorf as a third cheap attacker at 5.73 mil, playing at home against Heidenheim? He could play on the wings if Hart as well starts Glatzel in the middle. Very quickly then, Oltan, last question of the evening. What do you reckon to Sard's supposed getting in a nice cheap third attacking striker there?
Funnily enough, he was also someone I looked at for the budget option coming into the picks, but I find the highest value attack is a bit hard to read at the moment, I would say, because he started the few games, but he hasn't really been that impressive. So Glatzel looks like he might get the nod. I was kind of looking at someone like Dompe as well. You could maybe go for him, but I'd be a bit wary of going for Königsdorfer purely for the fact that it's not certain that he could start. A lot of the predicted lineups don't have him in, whereas Dompe should be on the right side of the attack and up against Heidenheim's weaker left side.
Yeah, very good point. I very much agree with that, and the potential unpredictability of the Huddersfield front line. But yeah, thank you for that question, Sard. Hopefully we've helped you out there last minute. So lovely stuff. So just to finish off this evening, make sure you do leave a like on the show. It really helps. Again, if you've not been able to watch us live, by all means leave a comment and we'll pick it up before the Friday evening deadline. hits. Like I said, if you can sub to the channel, that'd be awesome. We're on our way to 1,500 subs, so your support is always appreciated. Yeah, make sure you go find us on all socials, so X, Insta, Threads, Blue Sky, and all the rest. And you can find out all the Bulinews articles that are always running through there. So yeah, obviously just a bit of a pointer to prediction show, which is in just less than half an hour, 25 minutes, give or take. So 8:30 UK time. That's Mark and Cam who are back to predict the outcomes of match week 4. So that'll be an awesome show. I'll look forward to watching that. Thank you, Oltan. Awesome for you to join us for the first time this season and step in very, very well into Rune's lofty and huge shoes. So yeah, thanks all again for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time. Cheers all.